everyone hear themselves good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
You could probably turn my voice down a little bit, if we're being honest.
I'll be right back.
I could there's mute as well. Could mute it.
Wow.
Silence
How
women.
friendly of you. Can't silence me.
That's all I want to do with my life is just silence women.
I knew it.
Every day.
I knew it.
Every day.
That
That's why I
explains
do
the
stand
fedora.
up. I want to take every single spot that a female comic could have and let's give it to another white guy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have enough of those.
Yeah, no. I should just move to Chicago now and just get it over with,
Complete the circle.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Oh, cool guy Matt's got his sunglasses on now.
Oh, now it's party.
Uh-huh.
Matt Ferry has
Right
transformed
on.
into Matt has sunglasses. Just way better. If we're all being honest, it's way better.
I'm not trying to say he wasn't cool before the sunglasses.
Yeah, no, it's an upgrade of whatever it was.
If I had a hat on, it'd be better, but I don't.
Where's your
look a lot
fedora?
cooler.
Can you loan him a hat?
Yeah,
Oh man,
that's
what
true.
if Matt takes your fedora?
Oh my God. I'd be mortified.
These
Yeah.
headphones will not fit over your fedora, probably.
No.
Underneath it, though,
I
probably.
thought about it, though.
Is Matt the
I thought-
retiree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody else I got this gift for you. It's a fedora.
Pre-loved, we'll call it.
Yeah, so welcome to episode 10 of Pardon My Growth. I don't know if you heard any episodes yet.
I apologize. I haven't had time to catch up on the backlog just quite yet.
I just meant, so it's also Pardon My Growth, and it's also Sorry You Had to See That.
Yeah,
So it's kind of
yeah,
like talking about like the shitty times.
It's the parenthetical songs, they have so it's just Pardon My Growth, but to anyone hardcore, it's also Sorry You Had to See That in parentheses.
I love it.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being on and giving us the time. So, we'll just jump right into it. So we got Haley with us. Haley is kind of what would you say?
I'm a human woman
Yes.
who own a comedy club.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm
there we
supposed
go.
to be describing myself right now.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Sure. So I'm now comedy adjacent.
Comedy adjacent.
I
Okay,
run
that's
some
what it is.
comedy things in the Cedar Rapids area.
Yeah. So, in order to do that, kind of tell us about how that all came to be. Like, what was the original seed that was planted? That's like, I want to do this.
I don't think we have enough time. So there was no seed. I want to make that very clear that there was never a seed that I was like, oh, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to, someday, Reamer, I'm going to own a big sports bar. No, it's not like that. That was a basketball reference that nobody got, so that's cool.
Basketball.
We're going to move on from that. So I owned a brewery here in Cedar Rapids with my now ex-husband, and we started doing comedy kind of right out the gate, doing some shows that Mike Lucas produced. And then after the pandemic, and we were looking for ways to bring people back into the tap room, we started doing a weekly open mic. So we're doing that on Tuesday nights. And then we just started doing shows kind of all of the time. So it started out like one weekend a month, and then it was 3 weekends a month, and that was basically how it was. And then 2 years ago, right around this time, we closed the brewery, and things were kind of up in the air because we had to pay lease on the space regardless. And so we had all of these ideas about what to do with the space, and finally it just kind of dawned on me that we should put a comedy club in there. So that's what we did, the Lucky Cat Comedy and Events. And it was awesome, and I loved it, and it was a lot of work, and just having a physical bar to deal with is a lot to deal with, and our lease was up, and we were just like, we don't want to do this anymore, so we closed the bar. But the Lucky Cat is kind of living on, growing beyond its 4 little walls.
It's got a second life.
Go with the theme. Yeah, exactly.
8 more lives to go. So
yeah, do other stuff. So producing shows, other shows in the area. We moved our open mic to Iowa Brewing every Tuesday. We've started a second open mic at MoCo on the first Monday of the month. So just kind of using that Lucky Cat platform to explore different comedy arenas without being limited to that one location.
For sure, yeah. What were some of the other ideas you guys had for Thew Brewing? Do you have like an escape room by chance?
It's funny you should mention that because that came up so many times over the years. Travis, my ex-husband, loves escape rooms, and really, so like he had drawn up this whole idea for escape room at one point just to do in the tap room, and we weren't really sure how we could make that work. And so, yeah, that came up a few times. We talked about, since we already had all of the taps in, to have a bunch of beers on tap, just doing like a craft beer tap room. Yeah, but then I was sitting there one day and it was just like, oh, duh. Like, it was so obvious that was what we should be doing, was comedy.
Yeah.
That strikes me as funny because that's like so the antithesis of like every other normal person on planet Earth. Is like, and then it just hit me that really comedy is what should be happening here. Like nobody does that. But yeah, I like it.
Yeah, we were already doing it so much, and we already had the audience for it and the group of people that were so behind us that it just made sense to carry it on in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. What were some of the things you kind of like learned from doing that, like trial and error? Where was any big trial and errors?
As far as comedy goes?
Going from like the brewery, even like making the brewery, you guys brewed your own beer and everything?
Yeah.
All the taps were you guys'?
Yeah. I did a few guest taps, but yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, so like even into that, what was like some of the things that you didn't really think of when you're making the brewery, then transitioning from the brewery to the club? Any big like...
Don't do it was the big one that I really ignored. Like, just the red flag. Like, this is so much work. Like, what are you doing? I'm just kidding. Like, it was all worth it in the end. But when you look back, you're like, holy shit, that was just a ton of... Am I allowed to say the shit word on here? Yeah. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah. Zach said the N word like 2 weeks ago. So
Did you hard R on the... I was not...
Every day, I wake up and I do vocal warm-ups where I say it with the hard R like 100 times, and then I focus on my goal. I have the whiteboard that's about silencing women every day. And
that's like,
you missed that one.
No and neither. No, and then getting Zach to say no to things. That's the N word we're talking about. Hard R
sure.
is neither. So
no, I think going into the comedy club, we sat down, Travis and I sat down with Mike Lucas before we put a real plan together about making the transition to Lucky Cat, and said, hey, do you think this is feasible? What would it take to make this work? And we kind of sketched it all out, and then Mike came in as we were building things out. Like, Mike and I went so far as to like pace off where the stage was going to be. So like that was how we decided how big the stage was going to be, and where we put it. Is because Mike and I were like walking back and forth and going, okay, like this is the right size, this is where it should go, and like placing chairs and tables and deciding. So it was really, we put a lot of thought into the way the Lucky Cat was set up.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was very cool. Because
I think the first time that I went there,
because you never came to Thew, right?
I never came to Thew. I just I'd started comedy like a few months before then or something like that. And I'd heard people like kind of mention Thew, but I'd never like actually been there. And then so my first time there was like the first Lucky Cat open mic.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And that was like, I remember like noticing, that was the first thing I noticed, is like, oh wow, the stage is like, I could tell that there was like intent behind it, and like the design, everything. Like it seemed like it was like, oh, this is like a real like small club like stage.
Yeah.
It's like a proper stage.
Yeah, it kind of worked out just perfectly. And obviously at that point the bar was concrete and we had already poured it in place for the brewery. So we kind of had to work with what we had as far as that footprint.
So you built the bar and everything?
Yeah, we built that bar in there. Mm-hmm.
Nice. What was it before, do you know?
So most recently, before we moved in there, it was the Corner Pocket, the pool hall.
Okay.
Which is just down the street to the west. And when we first opened, we would get a lot of like DoorDashers or whatever, Grubhub, drivers coming and going like, oh, I'm here for my food order. I'm like, we don't serve food. He's like, no, I have an order for mozzarella sticks. I'm like, no, you cannot. It's not possible.
Huh.
And a couple times, like, the guys came in with, like, their pool cue bags, like, slung over their shoulder, and then they would look around and be like, I don't think I'm in the right place, but I'm going to have a beer because I feel awkward.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with. I'll take your money however you want to give it to me.
Yeah. I've heard that a lot before in my life. Just wanted to point that out.
Bet you have.
Yeah. No, I kind of, something that I've always wondered is, like, because my introduction to you was kind of like you were this, like, club owner, but like really it's like you're this comedy like matriarch like figure, right? It's just like like you're overseeing.
You guys can't see the gagging motion I'm making about the word matriarch, which I like I like the sentiment, but it just sounds so grandmotherly, and
like
it makes me feel a certain way. Yeah.
Is that something or
no? Old is not my vibe.
Old is not your vibe. Okay, that's pretty fair.
Feminine is my vibe.
That's pretty fair. No, but it's like
no, but I joked when we first started, even when we first started doing comedy at the brewery, I joked about how I wanted to be the Mitzi Shore of Cedar Rapids, and I've continued like the benevolent Mitzi Shore. Like Mitzi herself had a lot of issues, and she didn't want to pay people and blah blah blah. But yeah, I've always joked about being the Mitzi Shore of Cedar Rapids comedy.
Yeah, well, that's kind of that's the way I almost viewed you. I don't know what the fuck's going on right now.
So,
that's so weird experiencing that through like the headphones and
it's
through
kind of
like
wild.
a podcast.
It's like amplified. Not, I don't know what the word is.
Yeah, because like all your
Words
other
are good.
senses are gone, so all of a sudden you just hear the hearing. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the last.
What is that?
Yeah,
that
like
was the
you can
last
feel
two
it in your
podcasts
body,
for
not
me.
just in your ears.
Was all the senses are gone.
Yeah, we've been doing this drinking those Delta 9 drinks, those Delta 8 drinks, and usually towards
Perfect.
the end we're just like, where are we? Because it's like you can't hear
I
anything.
can't
It's
feel
like
my tongue.
Yeah.
It's, it
The
gets
I've
weird.
absent the last 2 episodes, or at least that's what it felt like in my brain.
Here he
but
is. There were
I'm
some
here now.
episodes of our podcast that it was so late at night, and we talked for like 3 hours that I would be just like, I can't do this anymore. So I checked
Yeah.
out for like half an hour at a time.
Yeah, but like so like being the Mitzi Shore of Cedar Rapids, like I've always wondered like what is that like? Were there nights where you were like, I'm just done with all of this because of like you're dealing with fucking degenerate like children that are pretending to be adults, but they're children.
Yeah, and then like running the bar on top of it was a lot where they're like
Right.
so it just gets to be really getting to see your growth and see how you progress as comics and as people is really fun, but also like watching the same thing every week sometimes gets to be a little bit tedious. And that's not true of watching everybody, but there's some people you're like, I can't, like I saw this exact thing, and not that you shouldn't work on things
Right.
repeatedly, but like sometimes it does get to be a little bit old.
Yeah, when you get some comics that are like doing like the same set, but it's like it's different. Like it's different doing the same set and honing it versus like you're even you even pointed and like did the same facial expression at the same time. Like you're just
Yes.
repeating it. You're not actually changing
exactly.
it.
Like if you're doing
Yeah.
it just like you said to hone
Yeah.
it, to refine it, that's great. But if you're just going up there because it got a huge laugh last week, so I'm going to do this again,
Right.
Because obviously every crowd is the same, or
Yeah.
just because like that's all you have,
Right.
or because you're not willing to put in the work, and that's where you start to get tired. Is you're like, I see the potential in you, but you're not trying, or
Right.
you're not trying and there's no potential. I don't know. That's not super common, but it happens. I won't name any names.
Yeah. You're not just you're the non
I hope these
everything.
listeners know that a lot of this is facetious.
This is actually all
I'm
fake
not
right
trying to
now.
shit on
Nothing's
anybody.
happening.
We're all
It's
part of simulation anyway.
So what would
Yeah.
you recommend? Like a not even just a new comic, but just a comic in general of doing these open mics. Like, are they here to kind of refine the same jokes down to it, or do you like when? I mean, everybody's obviously different, but what would you say are kind of like from the successful comedians that you've seen? What are the traits that they have that you see? Are they trying new stuff? They go back to the old stuff? Are they just doing new stuff every time?
You have to be able to do both. You can't just do new stuff all the time, because you have to have your type 5, to use a real cliche. You have to have something that that you could wake up and do in your sleep. I can't remember who told me that, but that has really stuck with me.
That sounds like a Mike Lucas thing, to be honest.
It might be, actually, and it really does. But like, you have to have some material that's just so good that you can fall back on, and then you work in your other stuff too, and keep building on what you've the base that you've already put down.
Short amount of time I've seen like Dylan Wenzel. He's went from very nervous, very shy. All of a sudden he's hosting and stuff like that.
That's
And
an
it's-
incredible
Yeah,
example.
that's a
Like,
good example.
and you can tell the people who are willing to put in the work and the people who actually want to get better. And he's one of them. And he was terrified at first. Same with Zach Hoyle. Like the number of times I've seen Zach Hoyle doubled over in a hallway, can't breathe,
Yeah.
wants to puke.
Right.
And that's open mics, that shows, that's all of the time. But they keep sticking with it. You fight through the stage fright or whatever, which is kind of small potatoes compared to everything else. And just keep working on what you have, and like you will start to get more consistent, and then you'll be ready to start hosting. And then that, like, once you start getting those opportunities, that really gives you a confidence boost. And that's kind of when it clicks, when people are like, okay, like I can calm down about this a little bit, relax a little, be confident in my ability. And I'm not saying it's bad to be nervous, because I don't think that it is. But they've gotten less terrified over time, and that's good.
Yeah.
I know most comics, I think, are terrified before they get on stage anytime. Like, even before an open mic, you're like, there's always nerves.
Yeah. I think you gotta be. Like, if you just go in there thinking, I'm like, oh, I'm the funniest person, everybody needs to hear this.
Yeah.
I thought that maybe once or twice, and then just bombed, and then just like,
exactly.
This is the quietest ride
Yeah, there
my
has to be an
life.
element of, you have to have some kind of humility,
Yeah, some
or
sort
you're
of, like,
not going to make it
resistance in your
far
head.
in really any business.
Yeah. Yep. What are some of the things you've seen from maybe like people touring around, like headliners and stuff, features that kind of set themselves apart from other headliners and stuff? Is it just like the humility aspect? Is it just being like what Ben said the other day, like being a good hang?
Yeah.
Or just, just being a personal person?
Yes.
Just stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay.
You can be really funny, but if you're a dick, it kind of just ruins the whole experience, and it lessens your, like, if I've seen you one night and you're an asshole, then I'm like, you're not funny the next night. So the people that I like the most, they are good hangs, but they're relatable people, and they're just like, I do comedy, you do comedy, we're all just here doing comedy, nobody's that special, and yeah, let's kind of just hang out and enjoy the experience.
Yeah, and one of the big things is like when you see like a headliner, like a nationally touring headliner, you think, or I think, or used to think they're just above everybody else, they're the funniest, and you might see the same kind of funny jokes from an open micer. So I guess like breaking down those barriers is like just knowing that they're regular people as well and stuff. It kind of goes a long way as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they started out as a regular open micer, and they've just taken the time to keep building their act and going from that 5 minutes to, okay, now I have 5 minutes, and now I have 10 minutes, and now I have 15 minutes, and now I have 45 minutes, and I'm willing to put in the work to make the road work, because it's really, really hard.
One of the coolest things I remember seeing was, and I can't remember his name right now, it'll come to me later probably, but there was a guy that, was his name Corbin or something?
Corbin Lemaster.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So Corbin Lemaster did, he headlined at Lucky Cat, and then I watched him.
One of the worst shows ever, because there were like 4 people there that night. Yeah. But that's the thing too, like, whether it's an open mic that's full of 30 comics and 2 regular people, or whether it's a show where it's 4 people, he treats every show like it's the same show. So he's going to treat that room of 4 like he's playing to a full room, and then that audience feels so fucking special. Like, you feel like you're the most important people in the world, because you are.
Right.
And it makes it a really special experience. Like, some of the best shows I've seen have been to kind of smaller crowds because of that. There's that intimacy.
Yeah. But no, it was really cool to see him headline at Lucky Cat, and then like watch him feature for Normand at the Englert, and like to see, it was the first time I'd ever seen like for another I Want People or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then like do the same material in like a theater, and I got to see how it like was able to translate, and that was like a real like learning experience for me to see that.
Yeah,
that
that's
cool.
really beautiful. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get. I don't think I've heard of him.
He's moved beyond words.
Yeah.
That's
He can't even
staring
I
speak.
can relate.
Yeah. Yeah. What other kind of advice you just have for a new comic, and then we'll switch subjects eventually. But
No, just keep
like,
at it.
yeah.
I know it's really hard to come to open, especially like we're in a smaller scene where when you come, it's a lot of times the same crowd on a Tuesday, a lot of the same comics. I think it can be really hard to just be. It's intimidating for new comics to just be performing in front of new comics every night, but I think that's kind of the best audience, because they're going to be the most real with you, and I think that's where you're going to learn the most. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just some dumb drunk lady that will laugh at anything, but like you guys have, some perspective to offer. So
yeah, and then for like a new
consistency.
comic, for a new comic that maybe not sure where they're like placing themselves, what are some again from your point of view, what are some ways that a new comic can tell that they're like on the right path? Not necessarily like just a ton of laughs and stuff like that, because it's hard to differentiate laughs sometimes, but
Yeah.
what can somebody that's just sitting there by themselves is like, am I doing good, am I not, should I keep doing this? The answer is probably always you should keep doing it if you want to, but what are some of the signs
Yes,
that
if you want to keep doing it. When you start to, I think there's a vibe in a room when things are going really poorly. And I think that even if you're not getting like belly laughs from an entire room, there's still a vibe where you're like, okay, this feels like things are on the right track. And especially in a room full of comics where comics aren't going to laugh all that much.
Right.
But you can kind of tell just based on like people's reactions. I think you can start to feel like, okay, they're warming up to me. And if I can get this room of people to warm to me a little bit, just kind of read the room, then you'll start to know that you're on the right track, and just be consistent with it. Just you got to keep at it. It's not something that happens overnight. Like that's not how it works. It just doesn't.
I told myself when I started, I don't know why, like I've always had this number in my head from like being a comedy fan and kind of like paying attention to like, because I'm like a nerd and I'll like look up.
Zach?
It's so hard to believe.
Oh my god.
The Rubik's Cube guy is a nerd.
I thought you were a jock.
But like I like I like Wikipedia people and like read and like I'll like do research and kind of like figure out, and like I came to this conclusion that I was like, okay, so for whatever reason it feels like 10 years is like the thing. That's like the standard that I put in my head is like it's gonna take at least about 10 years before I'm like any good at all, basically. I mean, and obviously that's like a relative to like, I don't know, other like good comics or whatever, right? Like obviously you'll get better over time, but like that's the number I put in my head, for better or worse, that I'm just like sticking with, of like the long term. Yeah.
All right. 10 years.
10 years.
How many years are you in?
2.
Okay.
I got 8 more before I gotta like just quit if I don't. No, I'll keep doing it.
You should.
You'll be good.
You're another one that has really grown a lot in the time that I've seen you doing comedy.
Thanks.
Zach's been killing it. It's always fun to see him kill.
Yeah, and that like the confidence level has grown so much from the beginning, and you're kind of a shy person, just naturally.
Yeah.
You're introverted.
Have you noticed the no Rubik's Cube lately?
This is hard for
I
me
actually
sometimes to
have
do.
noticed that. Like
I've been practicing.
I don't have anything to do with my hands. Yeah.
I've been actually, it's a little bit inspired by you maybe. I've been challenging myself recently where like if I'm just like out just whatever, like I don't care what, but that's fine, that's one thing, but like if I know that I'm gonna have friends there or something and I'm like, oh, they're gonna probably want me to like actually talk to them or whatever, I've been trying to like there are certain nights where I say this is like a non-Rubik's Cube night where I'm like, okay, leave it at home.
You're leaving your props behind. That's
because
awesome.
Otherwise you're going to use it as a crutch. If you feel anxious, you feel weird, you're gonna like zone in on it.
If there's an
and
awkward silence, you're like, well, I'm just gonna
speed
cube
basically.
Look how fast I can do this.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Good for you.
There's like a little SEL services with them, or the whatever that's called, the behavior modification. Every time you see it, just take it away from them.
No.
He's doing well. He's got it 10 out of 10. So yeah. No, it's nice to see too, because I mean, for a while it was like you're talking to Zach, all of a sudden it's like just a moment of silence. Like you lose him. So now he's present, so it's fun.
Yeah, and we went from him walking in and just like doing his cube or the ball thing and not saying hi or talking to anybody to being like hello and giving hugs and talking to people. So
I'm trying.
And I'm not saying you have to change your entire personality to do comedy. You don't.
Right.
But it's nice to see you come out of your shell a little bit.
Yeah. We like this Zach a little bit. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You would not believe, by the way, not to derail, but you would not believe the sound of one Rubik's Cube, if you think that's something, to go to a competition and you're in a conference room in a hotel and it's
Imagine
just
that
nonstop,
in these headphones right now. Just
Yes.
Lots of table hits as people are stopping timers and
It's like if you could like sense autism, you could just put like a microphone on autism.
It's really sad, but like
yes.
that like energy, that vibe of like hearing just people being quietly autistic is like my it's like heaven to me. That's like the most beautiful like sound to me.
quietly autistic.
Yeah.
When I do the card shows, the sports card shows, like basketball, football, baseball cards. It's the same thing. It's not Rubik's cubes. It's like people just shuffling cards around. So I know the same feeling. Yeah. That autism feeling and that sense, that aura, the aura of autism, the AOA.
I like that you always stick acronyms to everything. You're just like everything's an acronym to you.
Could be, yeah.
I like that. Could be.
Sometimes
CB
sometimes
could be
they're good, yeah. CB, MB maybe. Any other trying to think of. I had a question about. Oh yeah, so then making like a comedy network and stuff. What are kind of the ways you just went about doing that? Like making connections with other people, or is it just kind of all?
I am kind of curious about that too. Like, how do you like go from like you're like I'm gonna start like doing a comedy club to like bringing in like some insert whatever like legit sounding name here. Like how does that work out?
It just kind of happened organically actually. Let's see, who was before we closed the brewery, Zach Martina was probably the biggest name that we had in. He's a touring comic. He's featuring for Rory Scovel right now, if you know Rory. And that one, like, Mike had a lot of connections, so that helped me out in the beginning. And then I just started kind of leveraging those networks and getting people that way. So it's all been really random. And then as soon as people know that you have a club and that you're booking shows, and I'm really bad at checking email for those kind of submissions because the files that you get are so huge, and it was like clogging up my email. So then I just dreaded checking them because when we first started out, I had like a spreadsheet of all of these. This lady's gonna hit this pole. Maybe not. I mean, she's just driving on the sidewalk. It's fine.
A mulch bed.
But I like started a spreadsheet with all of the people that were sending submissions and kind of ranking them, and then we just started booking shows other ways, and it got to the point that I was booking so many shows based on word of mouth for people who had been here before, who were recommending people that I didn't need those submissions anymore, and I felt really bad because people put a lot of work into putting themselves out there and putting together a package and sending it out to clubs, and it's really really hard, but I couldn't respond to all of them because there were too many. And in my mind, I wanted to go back to all of those submissions someday and be like, sure, I would love to have you, but I didn't need to because this network just kept growing and growing, and it just all happened really organically. I don't know how, there's no other way to explain it.
I guess that kind of makes sense. I guess that sort of like translates to like my experience so far in comedy is like I was trying to explain this to someone one time that like that I don't like. I'm not a natural like shit talker. I don't like talk bad about people behind their back usually. Like I might like if someone else says something funny about someone's shit. Like if they say something shitty but it's funny, like I'll laugh. But like I'm not gonna like dogpile or whatever. Even if I don't like that person, I'm usually not gonna like dogpile.
Zach just tells me to his face what he thinks about me. He's like, "You look like a creative player off like
shit, Matt Ferry.
You look like a creative." I was like, "What the hell? This is cut so deep."
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
He's like,
the
"You look
one
like
time,
number 8, ball, like
I
ball
was
number
so
8."
I was so proud. I was so proud of that I thought the one time that I was like, "Yeah, you look like your head is like a preset in a video game, but it's like the one that you scroll past. Like you're like, I'm not doing that one."
Yeah. He said this in front of like 30 people. I was just like, all right.
Oh, that's great.
So he's not a shit talker. He's not a shit talker anyway.
Yeah,
Go on. Yeah, my bad.
No, but
sorry for interrupting you. I don't want you to say anything
I'm sorry you had to see that. But like I'm not normally naturally that kind of person, but like in comedy, it's also I was trying to tell someone one time that like you can't like it's so like suicidal to do that because everybody like is kind of like. It feels like you're always at any given point in time, you're like maybe 2 or 3 connections away from like a legit famous comedian.
Yep.
Because everybody knows everybody. Yep. Everybody talks, and it's like it's gonna fucking come
and
back.
So if there was ever a time that I was like, oh, so-and-so reached out to me, the first thing I would do is look them up on Facebook and see what friends we have in common, and then I'm texting everybody I know, like, hey, what do you know about this person? Like, oh, Zach Metzler, like, he's a real piece of shit to work with. You're like, okay, done, deleted, not even gonna bother.
Yeah. The word of mouth. I'm glad that I'm doing this now at this age as opposed to like when I'm in my early 20s because
seriously yes
you're just a lot more mature. You're not like burning bridges so easily because back then you could just burn bridges so easily. It's like this will never come back to haunt me. And it's like 2 days later. It's like,
We
shit.
don't have time to talk about Haley in her 20s, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I could never have done
learn.
this.
Yeah, you live and learn. So
Dude, I'm embarrassed. Like, at 34 now, I'm embarrassed by, like, my 25-year-old self. Like, I look at just see stuff from, like, 25, 26. I'm like, oh, my God.
No, I would.
Please.
Yeah, not a great person.
No.
I even get my Facebook memories
I'm
sometimes.
probably still not, but like I've come a long way, I think.
Yeah. No, I get my Facebook memories sometimes, and it's like from 2009 or 10 status. I'm like, what the hell was this guy thinking?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so it's like just cut. It's like, what's that, Sepku or whatever? It's like, oh, God damn it. It's like, who was I talking to? I don't even know who I was talking to on Facebook.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
saying random shit.
Yourself. You were talking to yourself. You're
Yeah,
like,
talking to
I
my
am the
future
coolest
self.
fucking person I've ever heard of. This is amazing.
Talking to my
TTM,
future
talking to
self.
myself.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, my friends just showed up, and I'm recording a
they sure
podcast. That's
They
not
sure did,
awkward at
yeah.
all.
Well, you have friends. Congratulations.
Yeah, I have a couple friends.
We
yeah.
are like I thought we were the only two.
That's what I thought. I kept saying we're.
We can't see you. You know that, right?
What time is it?
It's like
20 after.
time
Okay.
to fucking
And I might need to coach our
Whatever.
host for tonight. So.
6:18.
All
Oh,
right.
okay.
Who's hosting tonight?
Storm Henry.
Nice.
Oh, it's the
Yes.
night. It's that night.
Yes, it is that
The
night,
calm
and
before the
I just
storm.
want you to know that I'm here to give people opportunities, and when somebody asks to host, I'm probably going to let them once. So until you prove that you can do it again.
Right.
I'm not
right.
going to say anything else.
There you go.
I got faith in Storm.
As
Get a
it
little
gets
windy.
windier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's feeling it.
it's blowing in.
Yeah.
The winds of change at Iowa Brewing tonight.
I'm excited. I can feel like this is the one thing that like I found out very quickly when I first started talking to Aloe and like getting to know him a little bit. I was like, oh, we both have that thing inside of us that like when real like problems start happening, that's like funny.
Yeah.
Like just like when shit's getting
And that's
really
just
bad.
it too. Like you have to be able to take those moments because they're relatable, right?
Right.
Like the best times in your life, yay for you. But like
Sure.
the funny things are not going to be
No.
like, yay, my wife's pregnant. Even though you've made a lot of funny
Right,
jokes
right,
about
right.
it, but it's going to be all of the dumb shit that happens in between.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. I think like that's comedy, right? Is just being really relatable and connecting with people on a certain level.
Yeah. When are you going to do your? You going to get up there? Are you ever?
I have
gonna
twice
get back
actually
up?
because I
Oh,
roasted.
twice.
I roasted Matt Anderson after Matt finished chemo. He wanted to do a
okay.
roast,
Oh, nice.
and so I did a roast of Matt Anderson. I did pretty well. You know, if the mood strikes, or if like, because there was one idea that sparked everything where I was like, holy shit, and I started writing down jokes that I kind of crafted a little set from, and it wasn't like I went up there, and I don't get nervous, and I feel bad saying that because I just went up there and I was like, I'm just going to go do this, and it's a room full of my friends and people who want me to book them, so like I'm never going to bomb,
Yeah.
so I have no actual frame of reference of if I did well or not.
Right.
In my heart, I did pretty okay. But if the right material is there, sure. Like I have this little bit in my head about how I'm not a lesbian, but I did really like attention in college. You know that. So I think there's legs there somewhere. But yeah, if something ever comes, he said you're going to go up someday and you're going to fall in love with it and you're going to catch the bug and it's all you're going to want to do. So I put the set together. I was like, and I had
Yeah.
practiced it because I have a comedy, like a stage at my disposal, and I'd gone up and like told my jokes to myself and
Right.
And then I went up on stage and I was like, that was fun,
Yeah.
but I didn't feel something like, oh, I'm in love with this and I have to marry it. I was just like,
Yeah,
well, that was
yeah.
cool and I'm done. So
Yeah, you're
That's
like a
interesting.
GM, not a player.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
I do stuff from the front office. I'll go down there and show them what's up once in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Show them I can dunk still.
exactly.
Yeah. So I heard you talking about the Timberwolves. A big Timberwolves fan.
I'm a big Timberwolves fan.
Who are they playing now? Is it the Suns?
We were playing the Suns. They
okay.
were the only team we did not beat in the West this season, and we fucking blew them out of the water in the first game of the playoffs. So
Anthony Edwards is
Yeah.
on fire. Just
Ant's
hating-
killing. Nas Reed is a goddamn miracle. This team is so much fun. It's renewed. For a long time, it was really hard for me to get to be able to see games here. And basketball, like baseball is my sport, hockey is my sport. NBA was kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit, but this team has really renewed my love for the NBA, so it's been a really fun season.
Yeah, Edwards is pretty incredible. I like watching him play.
Yeah. Karl Anthony Towns is back.
Yeah, Cat. Who else they got? They got
yeah, that'd be one of your favorites because it's an acronym.
Yes, it's an acronym,
Yeah,
exactly.
Karl-Anthony
Yeah, if
Towns,
somebody
yeah.
wants to give him my number, I'd be cool with that.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
hit him up. Yeah. Then Zach, you're big Lakers fan? No.
Yeah, well, I'm a player guy, so like I'm a big LeBron fan. So like he's on the Lakers now, so that's what I'm following and whatever. Fuck, oh my god, dude, the game the other night, holy shit, it was
right after that post he made too, right?
yeah.
My favorite part of watching the
funny.
NBA right now is because I've been like peripheral for a long time, so I don't know. Like there are players who are like, oh, I remember seeing them in college, or like. But my favorite part of it is being like, holy shit! So Kevin Durant plays for the Suns now. I had no
Right.
idea until this season, and then I was like, isn't he older than me? So like I love doing that. It was the same thing with what's his face that played for the Spurs, and every year I'd be like, that guy still plays basketball. I'm like, good
Right.
for you.
Duncan?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
It's very siren-y out here.
It's very siren.
They're coming for us.
Oh no. The podcast is too fire.
That's
Get
it.
it? You get it?
That's it right there. Damn.
Yeah, I think the Clippers are going to win it all, though. That's my big predictor.
They're pretty good.
The Clippers over Nuggets.
I think this
Coast
is going to be a
Western
really fun
Conference
playoffs, which I'm here for.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love the playoffs. The playoffs are probably my favorite part of any sports. NBA playoffs are
Yeah.
kind
I
of
don't
where it's at.
even. I try to keep up like on social and like follow kind of what's happening throughout the season, but I don't actually like really tune in until the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then
well,
you
the
gotta
season's
play.
so long, it's hard. And when you're watching,
Yeah.
like, hockey starts in like preseason at the beginning of October. It goes until like the Stanley Cup doesn't get over until the end of June, and it just becomes this huge, long. Like it's crazy how long.
Yeah.
And like NBA is kind of the same way. So
Yeah, it's like half the season's like the playoffs.
Yeah.
Or playoffs are like half the season. It's like
Yeah.
2 or 3 months. So
But yeah, then you got to play that game where you're like trying to. If you're like me and you don't like already pay for like something that you can watch like most games or whatever, you're like trying to scramble like, okay, can I get a free trial on this thing? What do I got to do with it? Oh, it doesn't even have this channel, and then I gotta I hate that so much. But
So I'm going to put in a quick plug for Fubo, and they are not paying me, but I got a free trial of Fubo when I was trying to watch one of the women's tournament games.
okay.
And so I've had Bally Sports North for several years, just through this really back-assward way of like I had to have somebody in Minnesota who had an actual cable subscription, who had the Bally Sports package to give
Right.
me a login. And the app was really spotty, and so I got Fubo, and they have like all of the sports, and they have the Bally Sports. It costs the same as YouTube TV, but the big kicker for me here is that they have a channel called Maximum Effort. And they
Okay.
don't have commercials. Like during commercial time, it's like a Zamboni being like, "We'll be right back," or there's Ryan Reynolds
Oh,
being
nice.
like, "I'll talk nicely to you." And they do show blocks. So on Tuesdays, I think they just play Kids in the Hall all day during the day.
oh wow, that's
Fucking
pretty
sold.
cool. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Wednesday is Sports Night, which was one of my all-time favorite television shows. So I was like, between my sports channel and Sports Night, like I am sold on Fubo. Sponsor us.
That's beautiful.
You're welcome.
There we go.
Yeah.
Fubo.
Those
Reach out.
halftime shows, those no commercials are nice too. Especially the basketball. The halftime shows at basketball games are the best.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes like a knife thrower. Sometimes this dude climbing like 3 ladders at once. It's
The
just
lady
like,
with the plates on the unicycle.
Yeah. They're like just so wild that you never know.
It's funny. It's the people that you see it because
they are.
they're the like
They
the
are
top
doing your skills.
form of the type of stuff I like.
It's like a guy
Yeah.
just doing Rubik's
Exactly.
cubes.
He's like,
Yeah.
now it's time for my sport.
Yeah.
It's always funny too. Those guys are like their entire life is like leading up to that moment to do a halftime of like the 73rd game of the season.
And
between
nobody's
the,
paying attention
nobody's
except for
watching.
Zach.
Yeah.
Like, here we have the contortionists. And Zach's like, yeah, fucking finally. Get him in his clear box. That's a real one that I saw at a Timberwolves game one time.
The contortionist.
I also saw I was behind a lady at a football game one time that she read a book for the entire game, except during halftime when the band was out, she stood like, and then sat back down and read for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Which I also respect.
kind of wonder what she told her coworkers. Like, I went to the game. It was fun. Just like,
Yeah, who won? She's like, the band.
They killed it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
That it? Is that all she wrote?
What time do you got to get going?
I should probably get in there.
All right.
Yeah, it's
Assuming
good to
that
be
our
that
host
time.
is on time. 6:27.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. This is a little shorter episode. We'll probably have you back. And any final words? We're kind of like, any big things coming down the pipeline that you'd want to discuss? Like, so you guys are trying to do the MoCo, or you guys are doing the MoCo?
Yeah, MoCo, first Monday of every month. You can just sign up there. It starts at 7. Sign up at 6:30. Come to Iowa Brewing on Tuesdays. There will be shows. Follow the Lucky Cat CR on Instagram and Facebook. I still post all of our stuff there. And then I am Lucky Cat Haley on Instagram.
All right.
Don't add me on Facebook. I will not accept.
And then, real quick too, with the Lucky Cat, are you trying to make it across Eastern Iowa? Like, are you trying to make pockets of shows, places like recurring? I'm
trying to branch out beyond just Cedar Rapids. So Iowa City's kind of its own market, but like the first show that we produced outside of CR was at Bit Brewery in Central City. So that's a location we'll return to. So kind of trying to hit some of those smaller towns and also some of the venues here in town.
Nice. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks again, Haley.
Thanks for
we
having
appreciate
me.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
All right.